Coolidge puts it in.
What a seesaw affair it was, but Canada has come out on top. That's a reaction after Czechia scored a goal, but we won the World Junior Hockey Championship in Halifax, beating Czechia 3-2 in overtime last night. Now, Canada had a 2-0 lead going into the third, but then Czechia gets on the board a couple of goals in about a minute's time, and ultimately it goes to OT. That's your moment right there. Dylan Guenther, the hero in overtime, scoring the game winner just over 6 minutes in, securing another gold medal for Team Canada. Let's talk more about the win and what it means. Stephen Ellis is the associate editor and prospect analyst for the Daily Faceoff, and also co-host of Puck Poolies podcast. You're a busy man, Stephen. Thanks for making time for us here on CB24 Breakfast. That game last night, not necessarily Canada's cleanest or most effective game, but the result will take it.
Yeah, compared to the excitement of that game against the Americans, it felt a bit dull. But, you know, Canada, I think they played a game where they did the attack early, then the Czechs kind of started catching up. The Czechs were definitely a tough opponent in this tournament. We saw them win that very first game. They were relentless all tournament. They had a comeback effort against the Swedes the day before, so they know how to play under pressure. And I think Canada, the one thing there was Connor Bedard was just kind of stopped all night long, and the Czechs did a good job of making sure he couldn't get close to the net, so everyone else had to kind of take up for it.
Mm-hmm. And it was interesting, you know, because Connor Bedard was sort of asked after the game about, you know, the fact that he didn't get any points, and he really quickly deflected the question in the interview and said, look, this is not about me. This is about the team and the guys. It doesn't matter that I didn't get a point, assist, goal, whatever. It's about the team and the result. And I thought that really showed a maturity beyond his, 17 years old.
Yeah, he's been in the spotlight since he was 13 years old. So he's been surrounded by some quality players. He works out with NHL players during the offseason. So he's had some good mentors along the way. I kind of wish he'd be like, you know what, this is super cool. You know, I just broke a ton of records that no one might ever touch at this tournament again. I think this was a super special performance. And yeah, he didn't go out there and score in that game. But I think when you got 5 players on the ice trying to stop him every shift he was out there, I get it.
Yeah, exactly. And we're just watching the highlight here of Shane Wright's amazing goal. It was his 19th birthday last night, and this backhand, you know, splitting through basically 3 players, putting it in the net. Shane Wright's such an interesting story because last year everyone thought the Canadians were going to pick him number 1 overall. He ultimately goes 4th to the Kraken, and he said it was something that's going to be sort of on his mind or almost a chip on his shoulder. Do you think he felt like he had a bit more to prove or wanted to make some statements to the world?
I think the person he wanted to make the biggest statement to was himself, because he's had a tough season. You know, falling to 4th overall probably wasn't great for his ego, but then you go out there and he wasn't scoring in the NHL. He goes to the AHL and then he gets sent to the juniors. It kind of just step by step back. And now the question is, what happens to him next? I'm not sure. But to me, he was the best prospect in that draft. I was really surprised Montreal didn't take him. And I still think he has the potential to be that best player. And now I guess it's just time to show it. But he played his best game when it mattered most. Yeah,
it was a solid game for Wright, no doubt about that. And I'm really glad we have here Stephen as a sort of prospect analyst for the Daily Faceoff, because I understand that Milic, Team Canada's goalie, is undrafted at this point. I realize you don't have a draft tomorrow, but that's going to change quickly whenever the next draft comes around, isn't it?
Yeah, this is a guy that was passed over twice, and I think at this point that's not going to happen anymore. And I think that was kind of one of the themes in this tournament, where a lot of the undrafted goalies really shine. But Milic, he had one of the better Canadian performances that we've seen in the last decade. A guy that wasn't the starter to start this tournament and wasn't even guaranteed to make the team in the first place, but he went out there and won every game he played, and obviously he was great last night.
He was indeed, and he really helped. He made a few key saves indeed. Listen, Stephen Ellis from, of course, Daily Faceoff and senior associate editor. Really appreciate the time this morning. Good luck with the Puck Poolies podcast, and thanks for your analysis these last couple of days.
Thanks so much.